Have you ever been told that if you wear football boots with a carbon fiber outsole, it will make you significantly faster? Or maybe you've heard that you can't play elite level football if you're wearing cheaper Takedown boots. Well, if that's the case, you might have been exposed to some of the many football boot myths out there. And in today's video, I'm gonna talk about and bust 10 of those myths. I already made a video about 10 common boot myths a while ago, but as you'll see in this video, there are a lot of them, so let's talk about some more and go bust some myths. And the first myth or misconception is that you can't wear age-specific boots on natural grass because you won't have enough traction, meaning that you will slip and slide all over the place like there's no tomorrow. And that's, well, it's not entirely true. And it kind of depends on what sort of AG plate you get. Because there are some AG-specific plates out there, like the ones you get from Mizuno and Sakito and Puma's MG outsoles, where you have all these many little short conical studs that probably won't give you enough traction on a natural grass pitch because they can't really penetrate the ground deeply enough and give you the bite you need. However, on the more FG-like AG variations, think Nike's AG Pro outsole and Puma's and Adidas's AG outsoles, well, they are in essence slightly less aggressive, more balanced FG outsoles, just with conical studs instead of the bladed studs that you would see on some of the FG models. And the thing is that because they have more or less the same number of studs and also close to the same stud length, you can go on a natural grass pitch and wear these and get, I would say, adequate traction. And the cool thing is that you actually also have a slightly more mellow alternative if you think that the FG boots are a little bit too aggressive. And the funny story is that back when Neymar was with Nike, he actually wore the AG Pro outsole when he played on natural grass because he wanted to go a little bit easier on his knees compared to what the bladed studs on the FG version gave him. So if you go for these more FG-like studs and you play on both a good modern AG pitch, but also, of course, on natural grass pitches, you kind of get two boots in one. You can use them to good effect on both surfaces, you keep your warranty, and you're also kind to your knees on AG. So that's a win and a myth busted. And another myth is that you have to go down half a size when you wear laceless boots in order to get the right amount of lockdown. And if you don't, well, the boots are gonna stretch too much and they will feel sloppy. And look, while you absolutely can do that if you want to, there's absolutely no need to. And actually, I would recommend that you don't. Because the thing is that laceless boots have been engineered to be laceless and thus have a tight enough fit and enough built-in structure to actually give you, well, at least some of the lockdown that you need. And that also means that if you go down half a size, the boots are already so tight that they might end up feeling too uncomfortable and can potentially, long-term, end up hurting or even damaging your toes. Then you might need to get a surgery and you can't play football for a while, all because you insisted on having too small of a boot. Right? And that doesn't really work. So in my book, if you want to wear a laceless boot, go with your correct size. And then if you don't like the fit or you don't feel you get enough lockdown, well, then try looking at a different laceless model, or maybe just accept the fact that laceless boots might not be for you. Don't hurt your feet. It's not worth it. Myth number 3 is that if you wear boots with a carbon plate, you're gonna be quicker. And no, you won't. At least they won't turn you from a snail into a cheetah and give you a measurable speed boost. What they might give you, though, is a slightly more, effective way of running. Given that the fact that they are so stiff, you might have a slightly more effective energy transfer to the ground, meaning that you can actually push off a little bit more aggressively, and you might also save a bit of energy in the long run. But will that make you run measurably faster? No. See, the thing is that unless you are some sort of Olympic level sprinter with the absolute perfect running technique and you're running on the perfect surface, the marginal gains you will get from wearing a boot with a carbon plate versus wearing a boot without one, it'll be so small that there are so many other factors to your speed that will matter as well, and probably matter a little bit more. Now, the reason though that I actually like boots with a carbon plate is the feeling that they give you. And this is actually where they might make a difference. See, if you feel a little bit faster and more responsive, and as if they can actually help you push off harder, well, it might give you that mental boost, that little burst of confidence that is so nice, and to me at least, really matters in a match. So I like to wear them, but don't expect to get some sort of automatic plus 20 pace boost just by putting these on. And number 4 is that black and white boots aren't technological and only for old, boring players. And that's a good one, but of course, it's not true. The thing is that black and white boots are, well, they're just a colorway. They're black and white. And you could take this, for instance, the Predator 26 Elite FT, which in this colorway looks pretty, well, wild and technologically advanced. And there is a lot of pretty cool tech in this boot. But if you take that and make it black and white and red, well, it's the same boot and it's no less technologically advanced. Now it's just black. And you can say the same thing about the Nike Tiempo Ligero Pro. Sure, it might be going for a slightly more classic vibe and a little bit more, easygoing and no nonsense that will appeal to players that just remember back when you had your Puma King tops and your Copa Mundials and all that stuff. But with the tech leather upper, I mean, it's even in the name, it is a relatively technologically advanced boot as well. And then there might be the thing about the color that it's only for UNC players and it's a little bit boring. Well, maybe you might have a super young, flashy winger who likes to wear pink boots. But personally, having played so many years, right? The moment I see a player wearing black and white boots with especially low socks, you know you're in trouble. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's true. There might be something to it that as you age, you might prefer wearing black and white boots that are a little bit more no-nonsense, but they aren't only for older players. And I mean, a young guy wearing these, I would be afraid. Number 5 is that you have to accept getting blisters when you get new boots. And no, you don't. Like, blisters are not some sort of rite of passage or manhood test where you have to prove your worth when you get a new pair of boots. Blisters should not be the norm. And they might have been back in the day when I was a kid, when you got the new Mercurial Vapors and you kind of just had to live with getting blisters because technology back then wasn't good enough to make both a really sleek, lightweight boot and also make the heel comfortable. It was just the way it is. But nowadays, technology and engineering has come so far that if a boot isn't really comfortable out of the box and gives you a blister, it's a sign that there is a problem. Either the boot is the wrong boot for you, doesn't work with your foot, or it's a sign that you should start wearing grip socks or doing the runner's loop to eliminate some of the slippage of the heel inside the boot, which is what causes the blister in the first place. And look, if the boot just isn't right for you, it's okay, because there are so many other really good, very comfortable alternatives out there. And truth be told, the only time I've gotten a blister in the last many years is the one time where I decided I'm gonna wear crappy socks for my match and it's gonna be okay, and I paid the price immediately. So don't just suck it up and think that you have to kind of live through the pain and get a blister when you get new boots, because you don't. Number 6 is that you can't play elite level football if you wear a cheaper takedown boot, which is obviously a load of dumb nonsense. Let's take a look, for instance, at the Nike Tiempo Ligero Pro, which is a takedown boot. It's a really good takedown boot, but a takedown boot nonetheless. Virgil van Dijk wears the Ligero Pro, and I would say that he's still a pretty elite player. And the thing is that we should remember that the boot doesn't make the player. If you have the technique and the touch and the vision and the tactical understanding, you will be a great player no matter if you wear, let's say, the Nike Tiempo Maestro Elite or the Ligero Pro or the Tiempo Maestro Academy. Now, with that said, of course, personally, yes, I like to wear the Elite boots more because they typically tend to be sleeker and lighter and made with better, softer materials. Absolutely. So at the end of the day, a good player will be a good player no matter what he or she wears. But with that said, of course, come to unisportstore.com, buy all of the Elite boots so we make lots of money and my bosses are happy. But yeah, just keep it in mind, you don't have to. And of course, another myth is that you are going to suck at football on a generational level if you don't subscribe to this channel right now with the notifications on. And of course, that myth is entirely on... Well, actually, that one's pretty much true. So go and hit that subscribe button right now if you wanna not suck. So yeah. Just saying. Myth number 7 is that boots with SG studs are way more dangerous to your opponents. And it's not entirely true. Like, admittedly, I've seen, both in person and on TV, some relatively nasty injuries caused by players getting hit by opponents with SG studs. But on the flip side, I've also seen some relatively gnarly tackles caused by players wearing FG boots. So, you know, it's hard to say if it's really caused by the SG studs alone. And the reason that SG studs are long is not to cause injury. No. They're long because they're basically meant to penetrate the soft, muddy pitches deep enough to get you enough and a really effective level of traction. And the thing is also that FG boots these days, a lot of them have studs that are very, very long, and especially if they have bladed studs, well, they can cause a lot of damage as well. And look, getting hit by this long, relatively pointy metal stud is not going to be nice. And it can be relatively dangerous if you are unlucky. But then again, if you think about it, getting hit by a really hard, long, also relatively sharp plastic stud, it doesn't sound all that nice either. So wear your shin pads and then just hope for the best, whether the opponent wears SG or FG studs. Myth number 8 is that boots that are labeled FG AG are completely safe to use on artificial grass. And no.
They are not necessarily all that safe.
Now, I get the idea. If you have an FG AG boot, you can basically sell 2 boots in one. And now that I think of it, if we look at the AG boots we talked about earlier, so Nike's AG Pro and Adidas and Puma's AG boots, they are technically FG AG boots. But then if we look at the actual FG AG boots, especially historically, all of the FG AG models I can think of have not been made to specifically be safe to also use on artificial grass, meaning that they might be labeled as AG boots, but they are just the FG plates. And the only thing that it actually does is they're not necessarily safer for artificial grass, but you only keep your warranties. If you wear FG AG boots on artificial grass, they break, cool. You have your warranty, you can send them back, get a new pair. Whereas if you wear FG boots and they break on artificial grass, you don't have warranty, so you're toast. But that's kinda it with the FG AG labeling. And the thing is that if you play on artificial grass and you want that added safety and lowering your injury risk, buy an AG specific blade, such as, for instance, the Nike AG Pro or Adidas and Puma's AG boots. And you kind of have your own FG AG thing. It's right there. The boots are there, brands. Like,
It's a weird thing. I never really got it.
But have you heard then that elite level boots are more durable than takedown boots? Well, they might be, but they might also not. Look, the thing is that all of the top tier boots are made with the brand's best materials, and in some cases are also made with the most durable manufacturing processes. Let's take a look at the Japan boots from Mizuno, which are just at a complete different level. They're built like tanks, and even when they're being finished, they get an extra layer of glue to make sure that the bonding between the upper and the outsole is as good as it can possibly be. So in that sense, if we look at only them, the myth is true. They are wild and on a completely different level. But if we take a look at top boots in general, typically they're made with relatively delicate materials that are really nice and soft. And also they typically have a relatively lightweight construction. And if we compare that to some of the takedown boots that tend to have slightly thicker materials and to me actually also often feel a little bit sturdier, I would wager that some of these are actually more durable than the high-end models. Not saying the Maestro Elite is not durable, because I found it to be, but this was just an example. Slightly thicker materials, a little bit more like oomph to them. So sometimes, yes, the high-end boots are more durable, sometimes they're not. It's just not the universal truth. And if that's what you pay for, well, then don't. And finally, if the pros aren't wearing the boots, they're bad boots. Look, I don't know how many times I've heard this, especially, for instance, when it comes to Mizuno boots. So if I and some of the other respected reviewers all call Mizuno boots some of the best boots in the game, why isn't every single pro wearing Mizuno boots? Are they not serious about their boot game or what? Well, the simple answer to that question is money. Lots of money. See, the thing is that all of the big brands, they pay the biggest elite athletes to wear and endorse their boots. Whether it's actually their favorite boot or not, that doesn't really matter because they pay to get the exposure on the feet of the best players in the world. Now, Mizuno, they don't. Of course, they have Joao Felix as the star player, but their sports marketing strategy, so the players that they have wearing the boots, is just different to what Nike and Adidas and Puma have. Also because those three have a significantly bigger financial muscle. However, that doesn't mean that just because not all the pros are wearing Mizuno boots that they're bad boots. I mean, I've yet to see the Mizuno Monosea Neo 3 Elite on any pro, and it is an absolutely wonderful little football boot. One of my favorites. Is it bad just because no one's wearing it? No, they just haven't realized yet. So start watching the channel and listen. I have made a right mess here, but guys and girls, those were 10 football boot myths that aren't necessarily true. And the thing is that when you choose new football boots, you should always use a common sense. So go on the spiders here. Go on the internet, watch a lot of the videos I've made on how to choose the right boot for you. Go and watch the reviews and inform yourself. Now that typically works. If you're somehow still in doubt, give us a shout. I rhyme and stuff. Now, but seriously, reach out and we're gonna try and help you find the optimal boot for you that fits what you need, the shape of your foot, the size of your wallet, and all of that stuff. And at the end, I just wanna say, don't believe everything you hear. Unless, of course, it's something I say, but just use your common sense when it comes to getting new football boots. Of course, everyone wants to sell you the latest, most expensive stuff. We would prefer to do the same. Everyone just bought the expensive Elite boots. I mean, cool. But that's not the optimal choice always, at least for you. For what you can pay, what you want to pay, what you're looking for. It's all individual. Just keep that in mind and use your brain. And again, if you're in doubt, just ask us, right? At the end of the day, we're here to help you. But guys and girls, are there other football boot myths out there that we should take a look at? Well, let me know in the comment section right down below. We might do a third video on this if you want it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notifications on. And with those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio. Wow.